The brass handles of my son Marcus's casket felt cold under my trembling fingers. I'd raised that boy for 32 years, watched him take his first steps in our tiny apartment on Crenshaw Boulevard, taught him to tie his shoes, stayed up all night when he had the flu. Now here I was, saying goodbye while his wife Vanessa stood across from me, her face hidden behind designer sunglasses that probably cost more than my monthly Social Security check. "Mama Dolores," the funeral director whispered. "It's time." I nodded, my throat too tight to speak. The church was packed. Mount Zion Baptist had been our family church for 3 generations. I could see Mrs. Washington from the corner store dabbing her eyes, and Brother Jerome from the deacon board standing tall in his best suit. These people had watched Marcus grow up. They'd celebrated when he got his scholarship to Howard, cheered when he became the first lawyer in our family. As I leaned down to kiss my baby's forehead one last time, Vanessa's sharp voice cut through the organ music. "That's enough, Dolores. People are waiting." I looked up at her, this woman who'd been in my son's life for only 5 years. She stood there in her black Chanel suit, not a tear on her face, tapping her red-bottom shoe impatiently. The same shoes I'd seen her post about on Instagram just last week, talking about her retail therapy. "I'm his mother," I said quietly, my hand still on Marcus's cold cheek. "And I'm his wife," she snapped back, "the one who makes decisions now, so please, step back." Before we continue, please tell us where you're watching from so we know how far our stories reach, and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. The funeral proceeded in a blur. Pastor Williams spoke about Marcus's dedication to helping folks in the community with free legal advice. His law partner, Damon, shared stories about their work together. But through it all, I felt Vanessa's eyes on me, cold and calculating. After the service, everyone headed to the repast at Marcus and Vanessa's house, the house I'd helped them buy with my retirement savings when the bank wouldn't approve their full loan. I rode with Sister Patricia, my best friend since high school, who kept patting my hand and telling me to be strong. "Something ain't right with that girl," Patricia muttered as we pulled up to the house. "At her own husband's funeral, acting like she's at a business meeting." I wanted to defend Vanessa, to say grief affects everyone differently, but the words wouldn't come. Truth was, something had been off for months. Marcus had been distant, stressed. The last time we'd had Sunday dinner, he'd barely touched Mama's mac and cheese recipe I'd made special for him. Inside the house, people filled their plates with fried chicken, collard greens, and potato salad that the church ladies had prepared. I stood in the corner of what used to feel like my second home, watching Vanessa work the room like she was at a networking event. "Mrs. Dolores," a young woman approached me. It was Keisha, Marcus's secretary. Her eyes were red and puffy. "I'm so sorry for your loss. He was a good man." "Thank you, baby," I said, hugging her. She clung to me a little too long, and when she pulled back, she looked like she wanted to say something else. "Is everything all right?" I asked. She glanced over at Vanessa, then shook her head. "It's not the time, but please, take care of yourself, okay? Marcus would want that." Before I could ask what she meant, Vanessa's voice rang out across the room. "Dolores, can I see you in the study, please?" The study had been Marcus's favorite room. Law books lined the walls, and his diplomas hung proudly behind his desk. Vanessa stood behind that desk now, like she was running a board meeting. "We need to discuss some changes," she said, not even offering me a seat. "Changes? Baby, we just buried my son 2 hours ago. Which is why we need to be practical." She pulled out a folder. "Marcus left everything to me naturally. The house, the practice, all assets. But I know he'd want me to make sure you're comfortable." My knees felt weak. I sank into the leather chair across from the desk, the same chair where I'd sat so many times, listening to Marcus excitedly tell me about his cases. "What are you saying, Vanessa?" "I'm saying that your Sunday dinner's here, you're dropping by whenever you feel like it, your involvement in my affairs. That ends now. I'll have Marcus's things from his childhood packed up and sent to your apartment. The spare key you have? I'll need that back. You're kicking me out of my son's life? He's not even cold in the ground. Don't be dramatic. I'm simply establishing boundaries. Marcus isn't here to manage you anymore, so I have to. Manage me? I stood up, my hands shaking with rage. Girl, I changed that boy's diapers. I worked 3 jobs to put him through school. I gave you both $20,000 from my retirement to help with this house. Which was a gift, as I recall, no strings attached. She smiled, cold as January wind. Now I have guests to attend to. Please leave your key on the desk. And Dolores, don't make a scene. Marcus wouldn't want that. I stared at her, this woman wearing my grandmother's pearl necklace, the one I'd given Marcus to give to his wife on their wedding day. You're making a mistake, Vanessa. The only mistake, she said, walking to the door, was Marcus not setting boundaries with you sooner. You smothered him, controlled him. Well, that's over now. Security will escort you out. Security? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. At my son's repast? 2 men in black suits appeared at the door. I recognized one of them, Terrell, who'd gone to high school with Marcus. He couldn't even look me in the eye. Mrs. Dolores, he said quietly. I'm sorry, but Mrs. Vanessa says you need to leave. I looked around the study one last time. On the bookshelf, barely visible behind a law textbook, I spotted something that made my heart skip. It was a photo from Marcus's law school graduation, but not the one I remembered being there. This one showed Marcus with a woman who wasn't Vanessa, a woman whose face was familiar but I couldn't quite place. Now, please, Vanessa said, her voice sharp. I walked out with as much dignity as I could muster, past all the church folks who'd gone silent, watching this humiliation unfold. Sister Patricia jumped up, grabbing her purse. We're leaving, she announced loudly. Come on, Dolores. You don't need this. In the car, I finally let the tears fall. Patricia drove in silence for a while, then pulled into the parking lot of our favorite soul food restaurant. You gonna tell me what that was about? She asked. She kicked me out, I whispered. Said I can't come to the house anymore. Said I smothered Marcus. That heifer said what now? Patricia's voice rose. After everything you did for them? She said Marcus left everything to her. Everything, Patricia. What am I gonna do? I gave them most of my savings for that house. I thought I was investing in my family's future. Patricia grabbed my hand. Listen to me. That girl just showed her true colors. But you know what? God don't like ugly, and what's done in the dark always comes to light. You just watch. That night, I sat in my small apartment, surrounded by photos of Marcus. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Mrs. Dolores? It was Keisha, Marcus's secretary. I'm sorry to call so late, but I couldn't sleep. There's something you need to know about Marcus, about what was happening before he died. What do you mean? Can we meet tomorrow? Not at the office, somewhere private. There are things, documents, that Marcus asked me to keep safe. He said if anything happened to him, I should give them to you. Only you. My heart started racing. Keisha, what kind of documents? I can't say over the phone. But Mrs. Dolores? That woman who was in the photo on Marcus's shelf today? The one Vanessa quickly hid? Her name is Adrienne. She's a private investigator. Marcus hired her 3 weeks before he died. A private investigator? For what? To investigate his wife. He found out things. Bad things. Meet me tomorrow at the Starbucks on King Boulevard. 9 a.m. And Mrs. Dolores? Don't tell anyone, not even Sister Patricia. Trust no one. The line went dead. I sat there, phone in my hand, my mind spinning. My son had hired a private investigator to investigate Vanessa? What had he discovered? And why did he die so suddenly at 32, supposedly of a heart attack, when he'd just had a clean bill of health 2 months ago? I looked at the photo on my mantel. Marcus and me at his law school graduation, both of us grinning with pride and hope for the future. "What were you trying to tell me, baby?" I whispered. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Stop digging or you'll join him." My blood ran cold. I screenshot the message with shaking fingers, then noticed something else. 3 missed calls from Marcus's law partner, Damon, and a voicemail. "Mrs. Dolores, it's Damon. We need to talk urgently about Marcus's will. The one Vanessa has... It's not the only one. Call me back as soon as you get this. And be careful. I think we're all in danger." The officer slammed the papers on my kitchen table. "You have 24 hours to vacate." I stared at the eviction notice, my coffee mug frozen halfway to my lips. It was 6 a.m., 3 weeks after Marcus's funeral, and 2 uniformed officers stood in my apartment. "There must be some mistake," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "I've lived here for 15 years. My rent is paid through automatic withdrawal." "Ma'am, the building's been sold. New owner wants all tenants out. You got 24 hours. The younger officer looked uncomfortable, shifting his weight. "I'm sorry, but that's the law." Sold? To who? But even as I asked, a sick feeling settled in my stomach. I knew. Somehow I knew. "VR Holdings LLC," he read from his paperwork. "Vanessa Richardson Holdings." My hands shook as I set down the mug. Vanessa. My son's widow had bought my building. The same woman who'd kicked me out of the funeral repast. The same woman Marcus had been investigating before he died. "This can't be legal," I said. "I have rights as a tenant." "Not anymore," the older officer interrupted. "The new owner filed emergency renovation permits. Building's been condemned as unsafe. Everyone's got to go." After they left, I called Damon with trembling fingers. He answered on the first ring. "Mrs. Dolores, thank God. I've been trying to reach you. Listen, you need to get out of your apartment right now." "They just served me eviction papers. Damon, what is going on?" "Not over the phone. Meet me at my office in an hour. Park in the back and come through the service entrance. And Mrs. Dolores? Pack a bag. You might not be going back to that apartment." I threw clothes into my old suitcase, the same one I'd used when Marcus and I moved to LA from Mississippi 30 years ago. My hands kept shaking as I grabbed photo albums, important papers, Mama's jewelry box. How had my life come to this? Running from my own home like a thief in the night? The meeting with Keisha had been 3 days after the funeral. She'd given me a flash drive and a thick envelope, her hands trembling as bad as mine. Marcus was scared, she'd told me. He found out Vanessa had another husband, in Atlanta. She never divorced him. What? That's not all. She's been moving money from his practice accounts, hundreds of thousands. And Mrs. Dolores, the night Marcus died? She wasn't at that conference in San Francisco like she said. Her phone pinged at a hotel 2 miles from your house. Now, as I drove to Damon's office, those revelations felt like puzzle pieces I couldn't quite fit together. The streets of LA looked different somehow, threatening. Every car behind me could be following. Every shadow could hide danger. Damon's usually immaculate office was in chaos. Boxes everywhere, papers scattered across his desk. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "They're trying to destroy everything Marcus built," he said without preamble. "Vanessa's not just his widow. She's got connections we never imagined. That holding company that bought your building, it's owned by her brother-in-law, Vincent Richardson." Richardson? The name hit me like a punch. As in Richardson Development? The ones gentrifying half of South LA? The same, but it goes deeper. Damon pulled out a folder. Marcus hired a forensic accountant 2 months ago, secretly. He found out Vanessa and Vincent have been running a scheme for years. They target successful Black professionals, doctors, lawyers, business owners. Vanessa marries them, gets access to their assets, then they die, I finished, my blood running cold. 3 husbands in 10 years, All sudden deaths. All left everything to her. He showed me newspaper clippings, death certificates, marriage licenses. Marcus was number 4. I sank into a chair, the room spinning. We have to go to the police. With what? Suspicions? Coincidences? The Richardsons own half the city council. The police chief golfs with Vincent every Sunday. Damon laughed bitterly. I tried to file a complaint about the financial fraud. You know what happened? My office lease was suddenly terminated. My business accounts frozen for suspicious activity. My car was vandalized. Twice. So what do? We fight smart. Marcus knew this might happen. That's why he created a second will. A video will, properly witnessed, stored with a lawyer in Oakland who owes him a favor. In it, he leaves everything to you and details why Vanessa should get nothing. Hope flared in my chest. Then we can... It's gone. Damon's face was grim. The lawyer's office had a break-in last week. Only thing stolen was Marcus's file. But I made a copy. He pulled out a flash drive. This has everything. The will, the investigator's report, the financial records. Guard it with your life. A loud crash from the outer office made us both jump. Through the frosted glass we could see shadows moving. Back door, Damon whispered, grabbing a baseball bat from behind his desk. Go! We ran through the hallway, my old knees protesting. Behind us I could hear voices, furniture being overturned. The back door led to an alley where Damon's car was parked. Get in! He shouted. We peeled out just as 3 men burst through the door. I recognized one of them, Terrell, the security guard from the funeral. But now he wasn't looking apologetic. He was pulling out a phone, probably calling in our location. Where are we going? I asked, clutching my suitcase and the flash drive. First, we get you somewhere safe. Then we figure out how to expose them. Damon's jaw was set with determination. Marcus was my best friend, my brother. I won't let them get away with this. He drove to a part of LA I rarely visited, the warehouse district. The building looked abandoned from the outside, but Damon punched in a code and led me to a hidden apartment on the 3rd floor. What is this place? Marcus set it up. He called it his insurance policy. Said if anything happened, I should bring you here. Damon showed me around. It was small but fully stocked. Food, water, a computer, even a wall safe. The lease is under a shell company, untraceable. You'll be safe here while we plan our next move. I can't hide forever, Damon. I'm 73 years old. This is my city, my home. I know, but right now they think they've won. Let them get comfortable, sloppy. He handed me a burner phone. Only call me on this. I've got a lawyer in Sacramento who might help, someone the Richardsons can't touch. After he left, I sat in that strange apartment, my whole life reduced to a suitcase and a flash drive. On the computer, I searched for news about the other husbands. Dr. James Patterson died of an allergic reaction despite having no known allergies. Attorney Michael Brooks, car accident on a clear day with no other vehicles involved. Businessman Robert Chen, heart attack at 38 with no history of heart disease. All of them successful. All of them Black or Asian. All of them married to Vanessa for less than 5 years. The burner phone rang. Unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Hello, Dolores. Vanessa's voice was smooth as poison. I heard you had some trouble with your living situation. Such a shame. You won't get away with this. Get away with what? Buying real estate? Making smart investments? Really, Dolores, these conspiracy theories are beneath you. Marcus would be so disappointed. Don't you dare speak his name. Oh, but I will. After all, I'm his grieving widow, the woman he chose, the woman he left everything to. She paused. You know, I could help you. A woman your age shouldn't be homeless. I have a lovely assisted living facility in Riverside. Very affordable. All you have to do is stop this foolishness. Stop spreading lies about me. Stop trying to contest the will. I know about Atlanta, I said quietly. I know about James, Michael, and Robert. Silence. Then, you know nothing. And even if you did, who would believe you? A bitter old woman angry that her son chose his wife over his mother? The police have already been notified about your harassment, your mental state, your refusal to accept reality. My mental state? Oh, yes. Didn't Damon tell you? He's been under psychiatric evaluation. Paranoid delusions, they say. Making wild accusations about conspiracies and murders. Such a shame. Marcus would hate to see his partner like this. My blood ran cold. They'd gotten to Damon? I have to go now, Vanessa continued. I'm meeting with the board about expanding Marcus's practice. Oh,
And Dolores? That flash drive you think you have? You might want to check it again. The line went dead. With shaking hands, I plugged the flash drive into the computer. Empty. Every file corrupted or deleted. I called Damon's burner. No answer. His regular phone went straight to voicemail. Panic rose in my throat. I was alone, truly alone, with no evidence and no allies. Then I remembered something. Keisha had given me an envelope too. In the chaos, I'd shoved it in my purse without looking. I tore it open now. Inside were photos. Vanessa at a hotel with a man who wasn't Marcus. Vanessa signing documents with Vincent Richardson. Vanessa at Marcus's office late at night, 2 days before he died. And a handwritten note from Marcus. Mama, if you're reading this, then my worst fears have come true.
I'm sorry I didn't listen when you said something felt off about Vanessa. I'm sorry I pushed you away. The woman I married doesn't exist. She's a predator, and I'm her prey. But I won't go down without a fight. Check with Adrienne Winters, the PI. She has copies of everything. Trust no one else. I love you. Your son, Marcus. Adrienne Winters, the woman in the photo on Marcus's shelf. I had to find her. The burner phone rang again. This time, it was a text with a video attachment. My finger hovered over it, afraid of what I might see. I pressed play. It was Damon. He was sitting in what looked like a hospital room, his eyes unfocused, clearly drugged.
Mrs. Dolores, he slurred. I'm sorry. They said they'd hurt my daughter if I didn't stop. Please, just let it go. For your own safety, please.
The video ended. Another text came through. Your turn next, unless you're smart. You have 12 hours to leave LA. Don't come back. I sat in that empty apartment, my son's letter clutched in my hands. They thought they'd broken me, isolated me, scared me into submission. They were wrong. I picked up the burner phone and dialed information. I need the number for Adrienne Winters, private investigator. It was time to stop running. Time to fight back. For Marcus. For all the men who'd died. For justice. The operator found 3 Adrienne Winters in California. I'd call them all if I had to. Vanessa Richardson had made one mistake. She'd left me alive. And as long as I had breath in my body, I'd make sure she paid for what she'd done to my son. Outside, thunder rumbled over LA. A storm was coming. Good. Let it rain. The courthouse steps seemed to stretch forever as I climbed them, my cane clicking against the marble. 6 months had passed since that night in the warehouse apartment. 6 months of hiding, planning, and building a case that would either destroy Vanessa Richardson or destroy me. Mrs. Dolores, you ready for this? Adrienne Winters walked beside me, her investigator's eye scanning the crowd of reporters. She'd been Marcus's secret weapon, and now she was mine. I've been ready since the day she kicked me out of my son's funeral, I said, my voice steady despite the churning in my stomach. The courtroom was packed. Word had spread through South LA like wildfire. The widow who'd inherited millions was being challenged by the mother she'd tried to silence. But this wasn't just about Marcus's will anymore. This was about murder. Vanessa sat at the defendant's table, still playing the grieving widow in her black suit. but I could see the cracks in her mask. Her lawyer, some high-priced shark from downtown, kept whispering urgently in her ear, "All rise for the Honorable Judge Patricia Williams." My heart skipped. Patricia Williams. I knew that name. She'd grown up 2 blocks from me, went to the same church. Her mama still sang in the choir. Maybe, just maybe, we had a chance. The prosecutor, District Attorney James Crawford, stood up. He was young, hungry, and more importantly, clean. Adrian had made sure of that before we brought him our evidence. "Your Honor, we're here today on multiple charges against Vanessa Richardson, including fraud, embezzlement, bigamy, and conspiracy to commit murder in the first degree." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Vanessa's lawyer jumped up. "Objection! These are outrageous accusations with no foundation." "Sit down, counselor," Judge Williams said coolly. "I've reviewed the preliminary evidence. We'll proceed." Crawford called his first witness. "The prosecution calls Keisha Johnson." I held my breath as Keisha took the stand. She'd been in hiding too, after Vanessa's people had threatened her. But she was here now, brave as could be. "Ms. Johnson, you were Marcus Richardson's secretary?" "Yes, for 3 years." "Tell us about the weeks before his death." Keisha's voice was clear and strong. Marcus was scared. He'd discovered his wife was still married to another man in Atlanta. He'd found evidence she'd been stealing from client trust accounts. He was planning to divorce her and go to the police. "Objection? Hearsay. I have documents," Keisha continued, pulling out a folder. "Emails between Marcus and his private investigator. Bank records he asked me to copy. A recording he made on his phone." The courtroom went silent as Crawford played the recording. Marcus's voice filled the room, and I had to grip Sister Patricia's hand to keep from sobbing. "If something happens to me, investigate my wife. She's not who she claims to be. I found out about James Patterson, Michael Brooks, Robert Chen, all her previous husbands, all dead within 5 years of marriage. I think I'm next." Vanessa's composure finally cracked. She whispered frantically to her lawyer, her face flushed. The prosecution's next witness was Dr. Raymond Chen, a toxicologist from UCLA. Mr. Richardson's autopsy showed traces of succinylcholine in his system. It's a paralytic drug that mimics heart attack symptoms, nearly undetectable unless you're specifically looking for it. "The same drug found in James Patterson's system?" Crawford asked. "Correct." "And Michael Brooks. We exhumed all 3 bodies. Same drug, same concentration." The evidence kept mounting. Adrian testified about her investigation, showing financial records of Vanessa's hidden accounts, her connections to Vincent Richardson's criminal enterprise, the paper trail of destroyed lives and stolen fortunes. Then came the surprise witness. The prosecution calls Anthony Richardson. A man in an orange jumpsuit was led in. Vanessa went pale as death. "State your name for the record." "Anthony Richardson. I'm Vanessa's legal husband. We got married in Atlanta 12 years ago. Never divorced." The courtroom erupted. Judge Williams had to bang her gavel repeatedly to restore order. "She told me she was going to LA for a job," Anthony continued. "Said she'd send for me. Instead, she sent divorce papers that I never signed. Then I got arrested on drug charges I didn't commit. Been in prison for 8 years. Guards told me I had a visitor last month, some investigator asking about my wife." Crawford showed marriage certificates, photos, documentation. Vanessa had been married to Anthony the entire time she was married to Marcus and her other victims. Every marriage was invalid. Every inheritance was fraud. When it was the defense's turn, Vanessa's lawyer tried everything. Character assassination against me, claims of mental illness against Damon, suggestions that Marcus was depressed and suicidal, but the evidence was overwhelming. Then Vanessa herself took the stand. Even now, she tried to play the victim. "I loved Marcus," she said, tears streaming. "His mother never accepted me. She's always been jealous, possessive,
These accusations are her revenge for Marcus choosing me over her." "Mrs. Richardson," Crawford approached. "Or should I say Mrs. Anthony Richardson. Did you or did you not access Marcus Richardson's client trust accounts?" "I had permission." "Did you or did you not purchase succinylcholine from a veterinary supply company using a fake license?" "That's not." "Did you or did you not meet with Vincent Richardson the night Marcus died?" Vanessa's mask finally shattered completely. "You don't understand. These men, they thought they were so smart, so successful, but they were weak. Marcus was weak. Always running to his mama. Always—" Her lawyer grabbed her arm, but it was too late. She'd shown her true face. The jury deliberated for only 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. As the bailiffs led Vanessa away in handcuffs, she turned to look at me. The hatred in her eyes was pure poison. "This isn't over," she mouthed. But it was. Vincent Richardson was arrested 2 days later, trying to flee to Mexico. Their whole network came crashing down. Dozens of accomplices, hundreds of victims over the years. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. "Mrs. Dolores, how does it feel to get justice for your son?" I thought about Marcus, about all the sons who'd been lost to this evil. Justice doesn't bring him back, but maybe now he can rest, and maybe other families will be spared this pain. The crowd from Mount Zion Baptist was there, singing hymns. Mrs. Washington from the corner store hugged me tight. "We never doubted you, honey. Never." Damon was there too, finally free from the psychiatric hold Vanessa's people had forced on him. "Marcus would be so proud of you, Mrs. D." "We did it together," I said. "All of us." 3 weeks later, I stood in the house Vanessa had tried to steal. The courts had returned everything to Marcus's rightful heir, me. But I didn't want it for myself. "The Marcus Richardson Foundation for Legal Aid," I read from the new sign, "providing free legal services to families in need." Keisha would run it. Damon would oversee the legal work, and every young lawyer who walked through these doors would know Marcus's story, would understand why we fight for justice. I kept one room for myself, Marcus's study. I'd turned it into a small apartment where I could stay when I visited. The law books were still there, but now they shared space with photos of all Vanessa's victims. We would remember them all. "Mama Dolores?" A young woman knocked on the door. "There's someone here to see you." It was Anthony Richardson. He'd been released from prison after the false charges were dropped. He looked older than his years, broken by what Vanessa had done. "I wanted to thank you," he said quietly, "for exposing her, for stopping her. I'm sorry about your son." "We're all her victims," I said. "But we survived. That's what matters." He nodded, then handed me an envelope. "I found this and some old things. Thought you should have it." Inside was a photo of Vanessa from years ago, before she'd become a predator. She looked young, almost innocent. On the back, someone had written, "Vanessa Marie Johnson, before the darkness took her." I stared at that photo for a long time. Somewhere, that girl had made a choice, had chosen greed over love, murder over mercy, and that choice had destroyed so many lives. But we'd stopped her. Together, our community had stood up and said no more. No more predators hiding behind marriage certificates. No more stolen inheritances. No more murdered sons. That night, I visited Marcus's grave. Someone had left fresh flowers. The community still remembered. I sat on the bench nearby, talking to him like I always did. "We got her, baby. She'll never hurt anyone again. And your legacy, it's going to help so many people. You're still fighting for justice, even now." The wind rustled through the trees, and for a moment I could almost hear his voice. "Thanks, Mama. I love you too." 6 months later, I got a call from the prison. Vanessa wanted to see me. Against everyone's advice, I went. She sat across from me in the visiting room, wearing orange instead of designer black. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something hollow. "Why?" was all I asked. She was quiet for a long moment. My mama died when I was 8. Daddy remarried a woman who hated me. She took everything that should have been mine. I swore I'd never be powerless again. So you became her. You became the thing you hated. I became worse. She looked at me with empty eyes. I wanted to apologize. Not because I think you'll forgive me, but because I need to say it. I'm sorry I took your son. I'm sorry I became a monster. I stood to leave. Your apology doesn't bring him back, but I hope you find peace somehow. That's what Marcus would want. He always believed people could change. Even me? Even you. But that's between you and God now. I left her there and never looked back. There was too much work to do, too many families to help. The Marcus Richardson Foundation was thriving. Young lawyers came from all over to train with us, to learn how to fight for justice the right way. And every Sunday, I still cooked Marcus's favorite meal. But now, instead of eating alone, I invited all the young lawyers from the foundation. We'd sit around my table, sharing stories and laughter, building the family Marcus would have wanted. To Marcus, we'd toast, raising our glasses of sweet tea. To justice, they'd respond. And in those moments, surrounded by hope and purpose, I could feel my son's presence. Not gone, just transformed. Living on in every case we won, every family we helped, every predator we stopped. Vanessa had tried to destroy us. Instead, she'd created an army of warriors for justice, and we would never stop fighting. That's the thing about love, real love. It's stronger than greed, stronger than evil, stronger even than death. Vanessa never understood that. She thought power came from taking. But real power comes from giving, from community, from standing together and saying, we will not be broken. My name is Dolores Washington. I'm 74 years old. I lost my son to evil, but I found my purpose in seeking justice. And every day, I choose love over hate, hope over despair, community over isolation. Because that's what Marcus would do. That's what he did do, right until the end. And as long as I have breath in my body, I'll keep his light shining. The darkness tried to win. But baby, we brought the whole sun. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.